Be seated. It's always great to have missionaries with us. The reason that we try to do that frequently is because God's mission is missions. It's evangelism. Go into all the world, preach the gospel to every creature, make disciples. That is what God has called us to. And so the more we hear about what God is doing through people that He has called, now we're all called here, right? We are to be sharing the truth of the gospel where we are at. And in that sense, we are in missions all the time, on God's mission all the time. But God will call people to go to places that are not their home and send them all over the world, because again, that's the call of the gospel, right? To go into all the world. Bill and Debbie are planning to do that. They're locals here. They're members up at Sunrise Community Church. Good friends up there with the church, and I know they've got some friends here over the years, so good to have those connections. We're going to let Bill and Debbie come and share the mission, the burden, the calling that God has laid on their heart, what they're going to do, and then Bill's going to preach for us as well as we open up the Word this morning.
Good morning. Obviously, as you can see, we are Bill and Debbie Abbots, and we do live here locally in Hudson. And we are being sent out as missionaries by our home church, Sunrise Community Church. But before we tell you about our very near ministry plans, we'd like to tell you a little bit about who we are. Like many Floridians, neither one of us are from here. Bill was born in Portland, Oregon, and grew up across the Columbia River in Vancouver, Washington. He was raised in a Christian home and church attendance. There's a glare. Church attendance and involvement was expected. He also participated in numerous short-term mission trips as a teenager, which greatly influenced him to pursue a life of ministry in general and missions in particular. I grew up in God's country, Manitoba, Canada, also into a Christian home. My dad was a pastor for several years before he passed away from cancer when I was 12. My mom's parents were missionaries for 35 years in Paraguay, South America, among the Intlet tribe, and they greatly influenced me concerning missions. I too participated in a couple of short-term mission trips in my teenage years, going with the same organization and years that Bill did, but we did not meet at that time. The organization that we went with, Teen Missions International, has their very own small missionary training Bible school in Merritt Island, Florida, which is where we eventually met. As small as our school was, we had classmates from places like Brazil, Colombia, Liberia, and being with people from other countries led our hearts to love people from all cultures. And while our desire was to serve as missionaries long term, our life did not quite turn out like we had planned at that time. We ended up in a 15-year detour with Bill managing a Chick-fil-A store, while I stayed home to homeschool our 5 children. During that time, we always served in whatever local church the Lord had placed us, right, Doris? Youth and children's ministries, soundboard and singing on the worship team, women's and men's ministries, which included premarital counseling with several couples, and Bill eventually serving as an elder at Sunrise. Serving in the local church has been the best preparation for us for several reasons. Not only do we know what a healthy church should look like, we also firmly believe that it is the local church who sends missionaries, not organizations. Parachurch organizations are great, and the Lord has used them, but they are not the church. However, there are some things that our local church was not equipped to teach us. So we went through some extensive cross-cultural training with Ethnos 360, and after raising support, we moved to Paraguay, where we thought we would serve for decades to come. Again, it did not turn out like we had planned. We were there just shy of 2 years and experienced many interruptions to ministry, including one of our sons breaking his leg during sports. Bill's dad passed away, and he returned to the States for a month to help his mom and brothers through that time. And shortly after returning from that, Bill had a fall and broke his elbow. Finally, because another one of our sons struggled greatly while we were in Paraguay, we were strongly encouraged by field and organizational leadership and our church elders that we should come home and take care of our family. We were thinking we would just come home, do some quick taking care of our family, and we would be able to go back to Paraguay. Again, not what we planned. To us, it felt a little like failure, but we did come home in 2019, and just a few months later, COVID would hit. We couldn't go back to Paraguay even if we wanted to. The country was closed. So we experienced an unexpected change in ministry. Our elders wanted us to stay local so they could care for our family. Where am I? So we left. We ended up leaving Ethnos 360 and joined Missio Serve Alliance, which you may know as Bible Basics International. It's a local ministry. Bill took on the Director of Administration role, which included finances, communication, and property management. And there was not a role per se for me, plus I was still working with our youngest son as he finished high school. However, something was nagging at me, and it was the idea of missionary care. We had our circumstances of needing care, but I knew enough missionaries to know that missionary care was still seriously lacking, and one of the reasons that missionaries come home. So I Googled, as one does, the subject of missionary care, and I came across a program from Columbia International University in South Carolina. It's a master's degree in care and counseling with an emphasis on missionary care. So I went back to school and earned my master's, graduating in 2024. During my internship, I had the privilege of serving many missionaries through counseling and debriefs. We were hoping that through our various giftings and experiences, Bill and I would be able to go back overseas, specifically to a missionary member care center either in Kenya or Uganda we had our sights on, but that ended up not working out. Do you see a theme here? We have ideas and plans and thoughts, and the Lord's like, detour. Also during COVID, Missio Serve really began to see a decline in giving as well. And also most of the home staff started working from home, as many did. Actual home staff had dwindled down to 2, Bill and just one other. That other staffer was eventually let go, so now we are down to 1, Bill. And so subsequently, about a year ago this time, the board decided to put the property up for sale. Then in October of last year, the board decided to dissolve Missio Serve altogether as an organization, which meant, here we go again, we need to find a new ministry opportunity or join the American workforce. We asked our families, friends, and supporters to pray with us about this change, and we looked into several opportunities. But nothing really stood out to us. Then in December, a classmate and former roommate from that little Bible school from over 30 years ago called Bill. Robert calls Bill from time to time over the past 3 decades to catch up and see what we're doing. When Bill mentioned to him that we were needing to look for yet another opportunity, he said, "I have something for you and Debbie." Turns out that our friend Robert from Liberia is now president of Pillar Ministries, a 125-year-old organization based in New Jersey. And he invited us to go back to his country of Liberia and fill some much-needed roles. Now, we have found that most people know next to nothing about Liberia, so we'd like to share some quick facts for you. Liberia is about the size of Virginia, with a population of around 5.5 million. The official language is English, but more than 30 indigenous languages are spoken. Lately, as of right now, it is the 9th poorest country in the world, and extreme poverty usually leads to shortened lifespans. Men live to around 59, women 62. We're heading to that end really quick here. It is the first and oldest republic in Africa, founded in 1847, and one of only 2 countries in Africa not to have been colonized, for those of you who like fun facts. The other country is Ethiopia. It was never colonized because it was founded by freed slaves from the United States with the support of a private organization from the United States. But as human nature goes, those freed slaves in turn enslaved the indigenous Liberians. Over the decades, the freed slaves grew to become the ruling class, but only 5% of the population. This led to increasing ethnic tensions until it erupted into the first Liberian Civil War, which lasted from 1989 to 1997. And the second brutal civil war was fought from 1999 to 2003, so barely just over 2 decades ago it ended. Roughly 250,000 people were killed, and nearly all of the population were forced to flee their homes at some point. Devastating. Pillar Missions, who we will be working with, has been in Liberia since 1962, with their focus being Christian education, and they currently operate 3 schools in the country. Our main task is to provide administration for these 3 schools, as they are funded by donors from the U.S. There is a school in Paynesville, which is just outside the capital city in Monrovia, which is named after President James Monroe. There is a school in a town called Buchanan, and then about 2 to 8 hours from Buchanan, depending on the rainy season, the original Pillar Mission site, Poe River, where we will be living. On the property is a clinic, a guest house, a church, a coconut oil processing plant, and as mentioned, a school with a feeding center. Bill will also be property manager there, and while I will run the guest house. Our plan is to make disciples through leadership development, Bill preaching at the church, chapel services at the school, me starting some women's ministry on the property, possibly serving as a doula with the midwife who runs the clinic, as well as hoping to provide missionary care utilizing the guest house. And if this sounds like more than 2 people can do, you'd be right. In our flesh, it is way more than the 2 of us can do. But we believe in a big God who can do great things in and through us, and that's also why we're asking for prayer and support. We need prayers. For those of you who know anything about missionaries, you know no missionary goes alone. In 1973, before leaving England for India, the missionary pioneer William Carey asked his church back home to provide essential prayer, financial, and moral support needed to sustain his work. Speaking to his friend and colleague, Andrew Fuller, Carey said, "I will go down into the pit if you will hold the rope." This QR code that you see up there, for those of you who are tech savvy, it will lead you to several links, which includes our giving page, our email newsletter sign up, and our Amazon list. We thank you for your time today, and we hope and pray to find some rope holders today.
All right, we are on, aren't we? Thank you for watching our little PowerPoint presentation on our ministry, how the Lord has been leading and guiding us. One of the main themes